The morning sun rose gracefully over the horizon, casting a warm, golden glow across the serene landscape of Fantasy Island. The gentle rustle of palm fronds and the distant, rhythmic murmur of the ocean waves created an atmosphere of pure tranquility. Walking along the manicured pathway, Mr. Rourke maintained his usual flawless posture, his white suit pristine against the vibrant tropical greenery. Beside him, his energetic companion, Lawrence, struggled slightly to match his stride, his eyes wide with curiosity as he observed the unusual flurry of activity near the docks. "Good morning, Mr. Rock," Lawrence offered cheerfully, adjusting his posture. "Good morning, Lawrence," Mr. Rourke replied, his voice rich and welcoming. He turned his gaze toward the staff gathered nearby and added with a gentle, encouraging gesture, "Smiles, everyone. Smiles." Lawrence craned his neck, trying to catch a glimpse of the newcomers who were currently stepping off the boat. The arrival was accompanied by a noticeable amount of luggage and a general sense of excitement among the crew. "I assume from all the fuss being made over them, they must be celebrities," Lawrence remarked, his tone a mix of awe and speculation. "Not quite, Lawrence," Mr. Rourke corrected with a knowing smile, his eyes fixed on the couple leading the procession. "Mr. and Mrs. Paul Spencer have been sent by a television show called Your Wildest Dream Come True." Lawrence immediately recognized the title, his face lighting up with enthusiasm. "I know that show, sir." "Do you?" Mr. Rourke murmured, pleased by his companion's awareness. "Well, they are sponsoring Mr. Spencer's fantasy." Lawrence watched the couple closely as they walked toward the reception area. The husband, Paul Spencer, carried himself with the unmistakable posture of a seasoned aviator, though a subtle shadow of fatigue touched his features. Beside him, his wife, Lorraine, moved with a grace that was heavily masked by an expression of deep anxiety. Her eyes darted around the island, not with admiration, but with an underlying dread. "Whatever his wildest dream is, Mrs. Spencer doesn't seem all that thrilled about being here," Lawrence observed quietly. "That's because the lady's afraid her husband's luck may be running out," Mr. Rourke explained, his voice softening with empathy. "His luck, sir?" Lawrence asked, tilting his head in confusion. Mr. Rourke stopped for a moment, looking out toward the clear blue sky. Mr. Spencer was a fighter pilot during World War II. His fantasy is to have one definitive aerial dogfight with a German ace, Gunther Richter, to determine which of them is truly the ace of aces. "A dogfight, sir?" Lawrence squeaked, his hands instinctively mimicking the motion of small airplanes. "You mean zoom, zoom, rat-a-tat-tat and all that?" "All that," Mr. Rourke confirmed gravely. "No wonder Mrs. Spencer looks worried." As they resumed their walk, Lawrence's attention was drawn to another passenger who had just disembarked. It was a woman walking alone, her eyes hidden behind dark sunglasses, her posture radiating a sense of profound isolation despite her undeniable elegance. Lawrence squinted, a sense of recognition dawning on him. "Haven't I seen that face before?" "Oh, I'm sure you have, Lawrence," Mr. Rourke replied. "That's Miss Joanna Jones." "Of course," Lawrence said, the pieces falling into place. "The pop artist, if one can call such singing art. Nevertheless, it has made Miss Jones one of the most popular singers in the world." "Not anymore, sir," Mr. Rourke noted with a touch of sadness for the talented woman's plight. "No, in recent years, her records have sold less and less, and now Miss Jones has convinced herself that she's obsolete." Lawrence looked back at the solitary figure of the singer. "And what is her fantasy, sir? A comeback?" "No," Mr. Rourke answered softly. "To have a baby." Lawrence blinked in surprise, finding the request completely unexpected given her background. "And how are we supposed to help out?" "By introducing her to the man she ambitions will make her fantasy come true," Mr. Rourke explained, his plan already perfectly set in motion. "Have you found him, sir?" Lawrence inquired. "The very man," Mr. Rourke said confidently. A short while later, Mr. Rourke stood before his gathered guests in the elegant main courtyard, his arms spread wide in a gesture of ultimate hospitality. "My dear guests, I am Mr. Rourke, your host. Welcome to Fantasy Island." Paul Spencer stepped forward, looking around the pristine grounds with a furrowed brow. The absence of a camera crew seemed to bother him. No, he began, his voice tense. People from the television show are supposed to be shooting this dogfight. Shouldn't they be here by now, Mr. Rourke? No, Mr. Spencer, Mr. Rourke replied smoothly, stepping closer to reassure the veteran pilot. My arrangement is for them to photograph only your arrival and departure. All other footage for their show will be supplied by us. You'll understand why shortly. Nearby, two beautifully restored vintage fighter planes sat on the tarmac, their polished metal reflecting the bright tropical sun. Lawrence walked up to one of them, running a finger along the wing. Compared to today's jet aircraft, it seems so simple, he remarked to no one in particular. Paul Spencer walked over, his eyes softening as he looked at the aircraft. The sight of the cockpit seemed to bring back a flood of memories. Well, that's the beauty of it, Lawrence. It's simplicity. Everything was a lot simpler in those days. You knew who you were. You knew who your enemy was. Today, everything's a lot more complicated. No room in the sky for guys like me anymore. Mr. Rourke watched the pilot closely, sensing the deeper weight behind the words. That's a rather bleak statement for a relatively young man, Mr. Spencer. Well, last week I took my yearly physical exam, Paul confessed, his voice dropping to a confidential whisper as he glanced back to ensure his wife was out of earshot. When the report came back, I wasn't young anymore. And I wasn't a flight captain for Global American Airways anymore, either. Lawrence gasped softly, his heart aching for the man. You've been grounded, sir? That's it, Paul said, his jaw tightening as he fought back the emotion. Look, I haven't told my wife about it yet. But you can understand why this fantasy means so much to me. I hope it's satisfying to you, Mr. Spencer, Mr. Rourke said with utmost sincerity. And to Mr. Gunther Richter. As if on cue, a distinguished older man walked out of the hangar, dressed in a sharp flight jacket. His bearing was undeniably military, yet his expression was calm and contemplative. He looked toward Mr. Rourke and nodded respectfully. The message may check out to your satisfaction, Mr. Richter, Mr. Rourke noted, acknowledging the German aviator's preparation. Gunther Richter looked at the pristine aircraft prepared for him, a genuine look of appreciation in his eyes. A beautiful machine, Mr. Rourke. Thank you, Mr. Rourke replied. He then turned to introduce the two former adversaries, stepping between them. Mr. Paul Spencer, Mr. Gunther Richter. The two men stood face to face, 4 decades of history hanging silently in the air between them. Paul extended his hand first. Well, after all these years, we finally meet. Maybe it's better this way. Gunther accepted the handshake, his grip firm but polite. Yes, it's always better to save the best for last. So, then, is our meeting over? How is our little duel scheduled, Mr. Rourke? In a little while, Mr. Richter, Mr. Rourke explained, outlining the meticulously planned parameters of the encounter. We'll have your Messerschmitt fitted with a camera gun identical to the one in Mr. Spencer's plane. Gunther's eyebrows rose in surprise. Cameras instead of machine guns? Yes, Mr. Rourke confirmed. Well, more humane, of course, Gunther remarked, though a small, competitive smile played on his lips. Less satisfying, perhaps? Perhaps, Mr. Rourke conceded, but at least you'll both have the satisfaction of conducting your contest under World War II conditions in every other respect. Paul Spencer stepped closer, wanting to clarify the rules of engagement. Has the 5-second requirement been made quite clear to Mr. Richter, sir? Gunther chuckled softly, shaking his head. More rules. Yes, Mr. Rourke intervened gently. A necessary one, since you're not using real bullets. Whichever of you holds the other in his gun sight for 5 full seconds is the winner. The ace of aces. Gunther nodded slowly, but his expression grew more serious as he looked at Paul and then back at their host. There is one more thing, Mr. Rourke. Yes. Mr. Rourke invited. Well, look at us, Gunther said, gesturing toward their silvering hair and the lines etched upon their faces. We're not the young lions we were 40 years ago. What about the reflexes, the physical stress factors? It's my understanding you intended to do something about that. And so I shall, Mr. Rourke promised, gesturing to Lawrence, who stepped forward carrying a silver tray with a bottle of champagne and several glasses. "But first, may I propose a toast? Lawrence. Mr. Richter. Mr. Spencer." Paul waved his hand in a polite refusal. "No, I had to give up drinking a few years back. I think you'll find this a very special champagne that produces a very singular result," Mr. Rourke insisted gently, offering the glass once more. "If you please, Mr. Spencer." Paul hesitated, then took the glass with a nod. "Sir." "Thank you," Mr. Rourke said, raising his own glass. "May the better man win." The two pilots drank the effervescent liquid. Within moments, a remarkable change seemed to wash over them. The stiffness in their joints vanished, the fatigue in their eyes cleared, and a surge of youthful vitality rushed through their veins. Lawrence stared at them, his mouth slightly open in utter astonishment. "Why, sir, it's absolutely mind-boggling. Now you understand why I thought it best not to have the television people here," Mr. Rourke whispered to Lawrence, pleased with the successful implementation of the island's unique atmosphere. Meanwhile, in a quiet, shaded gazebo overlooking the sparkling waters, Joanna Jones sat at a beautifully set table. Her thoughts were far away, wrapped in a blanket of melancholy. A polite waiter stood beside her, holding a silver sugar bowl. "Will that be 1 lump or 2, Miss Jones?" Joanna blinked, startled out of her reverie. "Oh, I'm sorry. Could I have iced tea instead, please?" "Yes, Miss Iced Tea," the waiter replied, bowing before stepping away to fulfill the request. Mr. Rourke walked into the gazebo, his presence calm and reassuring. From a nearby sound system, the faint, melodic echoes of one of Joanna's classic hit songs drifted through the air. Joanna listened to it, a bitter smile touching her lips. "That's what I used to sound like, Mr. Rourke. But I don't know what I sound like today. Or even why you asked me to sing for your guest. That's not a part of my fantasy." "I'm well aware of that, Miss Jones," Mr. Rourke said gently, sitting opposite her. "I haven't even been practicing," Joanna confessed, her voice tight with frustration and vulnerability. "I've been rattling around this 30-room shack for the last couple years, staring at the same old posters, listening to the same old music, waiting for the same old people to return my phone calls. Which they don't anymore." Mr. Rourke listened intently, his expression filled with compassionate understanding. "I don't understand how having a child is a solution to any of that, Miss Jones. Having a child would give meaning to my life again," Joanna argued, her eyes filling with a desperate hope. "Oh, then you're speaking of building a family," Mr. Rourke observed. "Oh, no, Mr. Rourke," Joanna countered quickly, shaking her head. "I don't want a husband. I know how that may sound. But I've been living my own life too long. I wouldn't know where to go to look for the kind of man that I would want to father my child." "I see," Mr. Rourke said. "Do you?" Joanna asked, looking at him intensely. "I can give a child a lot of love, Mr. Rourke. I have plenty of time and money. But I need for it to be mine. I need to know the man." "You have many needs, Miss Jones," Mr. Rourke noted softly. The waiter returned at that moment, placing a tall, condensation-beaded glass on the table. "Your iced tea, miss." "Thank you," Joanna said, taking a sip to calm her nerves. "In any event," Mr. Rourke continued, leaning forward, "I have made arrangements for you to meet a man I feel can truly fulfill those needs. As a matter of fact, sir." He paused as he saw a handsome, well-dressed man approaching the gazebo. "Ah, yes." Joanna felt a sudden flutter of nervousness in her chest. "What does he think of me? I mean, of my fantasy?" "Oh, I haven't told him about that, Miss Jones," Mr. Rourke revealed with a subtle smile. "That's for you to do." The young man stepped into the shade of the gazebo, offering a polite and charming smile. "Mr. Rourke, I hope I didn't get the wrong time. I'm not interrupting him." "Oh, no, no," Mr. Rourke reassured him, standing up to greet him. "But I'm afraid I won't be able to join you. I have, however, arranged for a most charming substitute. Miss Joanna Jones, may I present Mr. Harley Peyton?" Harley looks at the famous singer, genuine admiration shining in his eyes. "How do you do?" "Hello," Joanna replied, a modest smile appearing on her face. I wish I could say I was disappointed, Mr. Rourke, Harley said with a playful wink toward the host. I promised Mr. Peyton that he'd be shown around our island paradise. Yes, but you didn't promise me I'd have such a beautiful guide, Harley added, turning his full attention back to Joanna. Shall we go? Let's hear it. Okay, Joanna agreed, rising from her seat and leading the way. Lawrence, who had been watching from a discreet distance, walked up to Mr. Rourke as the pair walked away. This sort of thing is a little out of our line, isn't it, sir? No, not really, Lawrence, Mr. Rourke mused, watching them disappear down the path. The outcome may well be something Miss Jones never bargained for. In another part of the resort, Lorraine Spencer was walking anxiously through the gardens when she heard a voice calling out to her. Lorraine, Lorraine. She turned around to see her husband running toward her. His movement was fluid, his face youthful and radiant with an energy she hadn't seen in decades. Paul? She whispered, blinking in disbelief. Yeah. That's me, Paul said, laughing as he reached her and took her hands in his. Oh, Paul, what's happening to us? Lorraine asked, her voice trembling with a mixture of wonder and fear. It's the fantasy. Do you like it? Paul asked, spinning her around gently. Oh, what do you think? Oh, look at me, Lorraine cried, looking down at her own hands, which were smooth and free of the aches of age. Oh, Laurie, you're beautiful, Paul said, his eyes filled with absolute adoration. Look at you. You look the way you did the day we were married. Yeah, Lorraine whispered, a tear of joy escaping her eye. Do you remember that rundown hotel in Atlantic City? No heat and paper-thin walls. And the funny army chaplain who was in such a hurry to marry us because of all the other couples waiting in line. He wasn't as anxious as I was, Paul recalled, his voice full of warmth. Do you remember all those new brides? And how they didn't want to waste a minute because their husbands were all going off to war? Oh, Paul, it was all I could do to keep from letting you know how scared I was, Lorraine admitted, leaning her head against his chest, feeling the strong, steady beat of his heart. Well, we've got it again. At least for a day.